We want to take just a few moments and give you a bit of a guided tour through the Barista add-on version of shop floor control. I'm going to launch work order entry, may as well start there. Let Barista assign the new work order numbers, and we'll begin with the standard production type of item. Let's use bill number 100, and I'll set my quantity to 25. I can either tab through the rest of this control or grab the additional info tab directly to finish entering additional information. In this case, I'd like to associate this with a sales order, so I can pick the customer in the order, and then here, rather than just a sequence number, I can actually see in the list button a visual that I'm choosing the right order line. So that's kind of a nice improvement. I'll save this, and when I save it, in standard production cases, the bill explosion has already happened, so I've got materials and operations and subcontracts already in place, and it brings up the materials grid so that I can get, again, a visual confirmation. I can launch the operations and subcontracts if I would like to see those as well. But typically, I'm going to jump on down and release the work order. Now, in this case, rather than a separate step to say view component shortages, only to have it come up and say there aren't any, and then you're back to releasing and setting the print flags, we've consolidated all into one form so that we'll always see the quantities for the various components on the bill, and if there are component shortages, we'll see them here highlighted in a different color. So it's real quick and easy to see if we've got any problem with our component supply. I can release this, and then I can move on to do the scheduling in the typical fashion, backward, forward, or manual scheduling. Let's enter another work order here so that I can show you just a slight difference. We'll go ahead and set up that record. Let's set up another production type work order. We'll use bill 1001 this time. If I have nothing else to add on that additional info tab, then I can just save very quickly here. And again, up comes the materials grid for my review. And notice here that it will be able to distinguish. I had two different milling operations built into this bill, and so it will list them so that it's easy for me to distinguish which of the milling ops I need to apply at a given materials line. So I will release this one as well, and we'll see in this case the difference. Very obvious that there aren't any component shortages. So this one is released and scheduled. Very fast to go through the process. If I do a non-standard or a non-stock type, then Barista will bring up the operations grid, then the materials grid, then the subcontracts grid, so that I can enter everything that I need, and it will bring those up automatically, one after the other, and that's a nice operational flow. Moving into traveler printing, simple options entry form, and this is, as you can tell from this progress meter, this is a Jasper report version. Let me zoom it up here a little bit. So I have a 7-page traveler here. We're starting out with bill number 100. So some nice shading and good visuals here on how these hours and amounts are spread out across the other subheadings. And then we'll move on to our bill 1001 and listing the operations first, then going on to list the materials, and we can see once again that it's picking out the second milling operation because we had milling listed twice. So that's what we have for our traveler. I'm not going to clear things just now. I'm going to move along to pick list printing. That is a BBJ PDF form. So that we will find here once it is generated in the BBJ PDF viewer. Here is the pick list for our bill 100, and we can flip through the pages here quickly and see how the pick list then separates for our 1001 bill based on the operations step. I'll come back to dispatch and load balance, but I want to move along through create purchase requisitions, and I'll just let it run the whole lot of them right now. 8 requisition records created. We did have a subcontract on that 1001 bill, so I want to jump back to purchase order processing, and if we bring up requisition entry, we should be able to find it was vendor 100. And when we call up that requisition, we should be able to scan across here and confirm that for the work order we just created, 1128, that was for the bill 1001, that the appropriate subcontract info has been added in to this current open requisition. So the create purchase requisitions is in and happy. Materials issues entry. We can run this, I can just show you each of the work orders that we've done. Let's hit the magnifying glass here so we can find the work orders, since I no longer remember the numbers off the top of my head. Here they are. We had item 100 and 1001. So let's grab one first, and we can move on through the rest of the header information. And if we say that it was pulled complete, then the appropriate quantities will be supplied here in the detail grid, and we're ready to go. If I go to the next bill and run it the other way and say that it wasn't pulled complete, we can just do that one quickly here and see the difference. In this case, if we say no, then we'll be presented with the ability to select or unselect and what sorts of quantities remain, what kind of quantity we want to issue. I'm just going to accept the default here, which is in effect the same thing as if it had been pulled complete, but I just wanted to show you the difference in the operations. We can print off the material issues register, and this produced a 4-page report for us in this case, and of course follows up with a GL recap. I'm not yet going to run the update. That one is still in progress. I can move into timesheet entry as well. Let's find an employee. I'll just select the first one here, and let's just pop in 5 hours. Once again, if I don't know the work order number, I'm going to do a Control F, or I could have clicked the magnifying glass, and let's select this one for bill 100. We can select which operation. Let's go with final inspection and put in some hours. Have an extra line entered there, so let's save this one. Now it's going to double check the hours that it totaled up based on my entry versus what's reported here in the header, and it will bring things back into alignment. Timesheet entry, you know, can be done by employee or work order or hours, or date I should say, depending on the parameter file. I wanted to come back before we wrap up and touch here on dispatch inquiries so we can see those. So this one will filter for me as I alter the dates or alter the operation codes, much like accounts payable pay selection, if you are familiar with that process, so that I can very quickly interactively see the dispatch inquiry information. Load balance inquiry is nice in this version because we have graphical capabilities that we didn't used to have. So if I set this up based on the last time I ran it by double clicking here, then I can just click the run button to pull my bar chart in, and once I've got it up, then it's interactive. I can change anything on here and it will redisplay the bar chart every time I do that. So I can zoom in, which gives me a little better view of some of these lesser hours tasks, change the dates, change to a different operation code, and again, each step along the way, it will refresh the bar chart for me. Very quick tour to give you an idea of the functionality that's here. Hope you enjoyed it.